It's now time for Party Chat Sports.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Welcome back, everybody, to Party Chat Sports. We got the entire crew here for our Season 1 finale. We've gone through an entire football season. We went through the off-season, and the 2023 NFL season is officially over. Actually, let's take a brief moment of silence to remember the 2023 NFL season. Or an applause. That works, too. Applause works better.
Gotta go with the applause first.
That works better. Let's just stick with the applause.
Moment of silence instantly turns into applause. That's how it works.
Jackass. But welcome back, everybody, to Party Chat Sports, the Super Bowl.
What are you doing?
Sorry.
He's learning.
The crowd thought it was funny.
It was hilarious. The Super Bowl has a winner. We have a Super Bowl winner, the Kansas City Chiefs, back-to-back with a 25-22 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. And that's kind of where we're headed with this episode. Like I said, everybody's here. We got Drew, we got Dylan, we got Cam, and myself. Super Bowl, in my opinion, kind of sucked at first. But this kind of has been the way a lot of these Patrick Mahomes Super Bowls have gone. It feels like where they don't really pick up until the second half, fourth quarter, and then they get you near the end. Where, like, especially the Chiefs in these Super Bowls have started off slow, which is bananas thing to say that I'm using plural, because the Kansas City Chiefs have been in 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, winning 3. Insane. But
That's pretty good.
I'd say that's pretty good. I'd say that's dynasty level stuff right there.
It is.
Which is, I'm not a fan of dynasties. I maybe that's just because I hate the Patriots and had to suffer 20 years of that, but
I'd be okay with the dynasty if it was my team.
I mean, that's fair. That's definitely fair. But that's what we're seeing with the Kansas City Chiefs, is a dynasty. It doesn't matter who you put in front of them. They're going. It seems like they're inevitably going to win the Super Bowl. Before I continue rambling on, one of you guys take it away for a little bit as we discuss the Super Bowl.
Well, Mahomes has firmly inserted himself in the discussions for best of all time. Obviously, there's the ring issue. You know, Tom Brady's got 7, and realistically, that's going to be extremely hard to catch. You know, even though Mahomes is on pace, if he plays the same amount of time, he's on pace to beat that. But obviously, it's a tough league, and he's making so much money that it's going to be hard for him to want to even play that long. I mean, he's making $500 million already on his current contract. I'm sure there will be some sort of second contract after that. He and all the endorsements he's in. I mean, he's in every State Farm commercial. So,
Mahomes and Mahomes.
I realistically, I don't see him catching Brady in the rings department. But I don't think he needs to. I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous. A lot of the GOAT conversations are like, oh, who has more rings? Like, okay, yeah, Jordan has 6, Brady has 7.
It does matter.
It does,
but it's also, and
it's not the deciding factor.
Me and Gil talked about this a few weeks ago, but it is a team sport. It's the best team sport in the country. And so using rings to decide the greatness of players, like, does Dan Marino suck because he never got a ring? Like,
Yeah,
it's definitely one of the factors. And Mahomes, he's obviously got 3 now. It's hard to envision, he's, 28, 29, that he's not going to get at least one more. I mean, we always talk about how hard it is to win in this league, and yet he seems to do it all the time. And he's done it 3 out of the last 4 years, or whatever the statistic is. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if he puts up, if he finishes with 5, let's say he gets 2 more over the next 10 years of playing in the NFL. I mean, he'd have 5 at that point. Yeah, he's 2 behind Mahomes, but if he puts up better career numbers, and he's obviously the most talented quarterback that's ever graced the field up until this point, yeah, I don't see why you can't call him the GOAT. But, he's done so much greatness up until this point. That's like the whole thing. And we're all talking like, yeah, he's the GOAT, but his career could end next season. And I don't want to wish that upon anybody, obviously, but like, if it did, where does that leave him versus, he still has to, yes, he's so great. He still has to do that for another decade to fully, like, be the GOAT. I don't know. Because he's been so great, but he's still so far behind in career statistics just because Brady played so long. But he's on pace for it. So it's.
And as I was saying, I don't think he'll get there, and it's possible he doesn't even get close. I mean, for the reasons I already said, like, Brady played a outlandish period of time.
We played our entire lives.
Yeah, like a ridiculous amount of time, and frankly, there's really no reason to play that long.
Unless you don't like your wife.
You don't need, like, they're gonna, yeah. If Brittany leaves him and he's feeling sad, and the only thing that makes him feel happy is football, then maybe he'll play that long.
They'll keep Travis Kelce eventually.
Normal people, unlike Tom Brady, eventually they get to a point they don't want to, subject themselves to injury. They've made more money than they could ever know what to do with. They have a family who they want to be with. I guess Brady was good with kissing his son, every off season, and that was it. He didn't want to be with him during the football season. But like I said, I don't. The problem is that Mahomes, in my opinion, is not going to reach or surpass Brady's numbers, and I think it's okay for that to happen and still be able to use our brains and our smarts and see, hey, this guy is pretty freaking good. He might be the best we've ever seen. Yeah, he doesn't have the numbers over a 25-year period or whatever Brady played, but we can see with our own eyes that he's playing just as good or better than Brady ever has.
Tim, what are your thoughts on where Mahomes ranks all time?
I think he's top 3 no matter what at this point. When you're 28 years old and you have already tied Peyton Manning, who's arguably top 5 of all time, and you only have 3 losses next to that, that's very remarkable. And I know I know the wins are a team stat, not a QB stat, but you do have to also take into consideration how many times is that QB actually winning this game. Like, you can talk about the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl where Brady didn't have to do anything, and you can say that, okay, that's a fraudulent Super Bowl. But then you look at the Falcons one where he leads a 28-3 comeback in overtime with help from James White. That stat and that win is on him. Yes, it's a team stat, but that is also all of him. So, Mahomes is top 2 right now, right behind Brady, and I think if he gets 5 Super Bowls, I think he has to do it in a row. I think he has to do a 3-peat or a 4-peat to be considered with Brady. That's my opinion.
So I think a lot of what you said goes back to what Drew was saying, where if you use your eyes, like the quarterback wins isn't really a stat that matters, but if you use your eyes, you can tell, like you were saying, Cam, like where the quarterback impacted the game in almost every playoff game that the Chiefs have had that they won, 15, 16, whatever it is now, with Mahomes I think it's 15 out of 18. 15 of those games, Mahomes impacted. Well, maybe 14. Let's say 14
and 3.
because
He's 15 and
there's
3
probably
now.
yeah. What I'm saying is probably 14 of those games you can pretty much credit to Mahomes. The Ravens one was a lot on the defense, but still, like that's a lot of games that were won because of Mahomes.
We're also not going to pretend like it's not the most important position in this team game because it totally is. Yep. So, he's great. That's really where we're at with that conversation.
What's going to make it tough for Mahomes to ever surpass Brady is the fact that 2 of his 3 playoff losses to date are to Tom Brady. One of those being in the Super Bowl. So you're always going. If he finishes 4-1 in Super Bowls, that one loss is to the guy that's being argued. Are you the GOAT or are you the GOAT? I think he's going to finish his career.
That will hurt him in time, and it's stupid that it will hurt him, but
it's going to.
It will.
It's the time period that's really going to the time piece of that that's going to hurt it, because as we move farther into the future, people are going to forget that the Buccaneers Chiefs Super Bowl was just a complete mismatch. I was talking to my coworker about it today.
He was running for his life in that game.
He ran almost 500 yards before either getting sacked or throwing it away or something like that. I looked at it today. I don't remember exactly what it was, but
that was also
that's a lot.
Too.
That's a lot of yards.
He was not okay. And we're also not going to pretend that this Buccaneers team that Brady went to was some slouch that he carried to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They were a solid team that just needed a quarterback, and they won immediately. I mean, and the Mahomes loss against the Patriots when Brady was there in the AFC Championship game, that was also a fluky ending that gave the Patriots the win on an offsides, I think, towards the end of the game. So,
and that's also still prime Tom Brady in year 2 or 3 Mahomes. That was early in his career, right?
I think that loss was his first year start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as time marches on, those details will get lost in the wayside, and it'll just be like, oh, Tom Brady beat Mahomes then, and he beat Mahomes then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
all context flies out the window with
those Chiefs tackles were both backups, I think, in that Bucs game. I think they were both backup tackles.
They replaced that.
They probably should have been. Yeah, because
they were.
Yeah, if you look at the Chiefs' offensive line now, it's pretty solid. Probably one of the best lines in the game. But it started because of that Super Bowl.
Didn't have a single hold.
Absolutely obliterated. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just. I think that's tough because as time marches on, like I said, the only thing you're going to see, and the easiest way to remember, is obviously just look at the numbers. But that doesn't give you any crumb of context of what the game was actually like, unless you turn on the replay and actually watch it for yourself. But let's be honest, no one's doing that. So
that's the one thing that's going to hurt Mahomes is the fact that he played Tom Brady. You look at any other great comparison, Joe Montana and Tom Brady didn't play each other. I don't think Michael Jordan and LeBron James ever played against each other. So that's the one thing that's really going to suck for Patrick Mahomes when we're talking 10, 20 years down the line, who's the greatest of all time. Well, those two actually did play each other, and that's going to suck for Mahomes. Right now, I think he's 3 because I think he'll finish second or top 2, maybe the GOAT right now, just because he hasn't surpassed certain yard markers. He has 3 Super Bowls compared to Joe Montana's 4. It's hard
I'd
for
put
me
him over.
to.
I'd put him over Joe Montana right away. Joe Montana was thrown to arguably the greatest wide receiver of all time. He was the greatest wide receiver of all time at the time.
Right. But still, right now, if I were to rank my top 3 as of February 13th, 2024, it'd probably go Brady, Montana, Mahomes. By the time Mahomes retires, it's probably going to go Brady or Mahomes for that top spot, and then Montana third. Just right now, I don't want to get too caught up in the moment because there's a lot of short-sightedness. I think Montana still has one more Super Bowl over Mahomes. He will pass Mahomes for Montana, but as of today, maybe not quite yet. I do want to pump brakes just a little bit. But Mahomes, another comeback. Why do teams feel comfortable with leads against this team? I'll never understand.
Professional choker Kyle Shanahan was at the helm. So that's what I kind of want to talk about next. Can't let them get away with there
was a game here
another poor
that
performance.
was played. Yeah.
So they, despite what we start off with the GOAT talk or potential GOAT talk, every time Brock Purdy left the field, the 49ers were winning. If you don't understand what that means, they led the entire game except for the final 3 seconds, I think.
There was a moment where the Chiefs took the lead, but I think I know what you're getting at.
Pretty close. Okay, pretty close. And I think
but they went down the score once the Chiefs took the lead. So your original point, once Brock Purdy was off, they were up.
So this is now the third time that Kyle Shanahan, as the coach or a coordinator, has blown a lead, a double-digit lead nonetheless. It was 10 points in this game. I want to say the last Super Bowl with the 49ers and Chiefs was around 10. Maybe it was a little bit more.
It was like 10 or 13.
And then obviously the infamous 25-point lead against the Patriots. I'm not sure why this keeps happening. Obviously the Chiefs had Patrick Mahomes and a great defense. But really, when you look at it, it feels like either Shanahan is getting in his own head and trying to do either too much or maybe not doing enough. Either way, he just can't seem to cross the hump. And looking at it from outside the 49ers, I heard there's 49ers fans saying they want him fired. I think that's ridiculous. But also at the same time, I see where the sentiment comes from, because you're we've had 2 chances with amazing teams. Well, the last one was a good team, but not quite as good as this one. This was the year where you're if not now, then when? Just the matchup, the roster, the way the roster is constructed. It's if you can't get it done now, when are you ever going to get it done? And I see where the 49ers are coming from. A thing I saw today, though, was with Andy Reid, who everyone's hyping up as, potentially one of the best coaches of all time. He had a similar stint in Philadelphia where he couldn't get it done either. So I think Shanahan is still probably one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the league right now. Just everything they do, the 49ers just seems to work for, 19 games of the year when their quarterback's healthy. But the 20th game, the last game, just can't put all the pieces together. And I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure where you go from here, though, because
higher defensive coordinator.
They're not making any different changes. Their roster is going to be mostly the same, I believe. Although Ayuk's brother or friend or whatever was saying they want out of San Fran, but
I think
Because
Ayuk
they didn't
said
use him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
They didn't use
He was wide open a couple times, and he caught those passes. That's for sure.
They didn't use anyone, and that comes back to the defenses. I mean, the both defenses were playing amazing, so you have that, but I don't know. Choke job.
I mean, I think a lot of missed holding calls also needs to be discussed a little bit.
It was they.
It was really bad, blatant.
The most penalized offensive line of the entire year did not have a single holding call in the Super Bowl.
I will say this.
Very interesting.
I will say this. Yes, they missed calls. Compared to almost every other game this year, where in terms of referee performance, I was fine with the Super Bowl because we're not looking back and saying there was a phantom holding call, or we're not flat out blaming the refs. Did they miss calls? Yes, they're human. It's going to happen, and it sucks, especially when it seems very one-sided. Overall, though, I thought the ref performance was fine, especially compared to a lot of other games.
At least it didn't decide the Super Bowl like it did last year. If you remember the Juju Smith pass interference to basically ice the game for the Chiefs at the end of last year's Super Bowl.
Right.
But
no, definitely. There was. I feel like
I think they got most of it right. I mean there
was some holding
obvious stuff. So let's put holdings in their own category for a second because
you could call holding every play.
It's dumb. You can call it every play, or you can call it never, like they did this game. And at the end of the day, if you're going to call it every time, no one's ever going to watch, and that's the sad, unfortunate truth.
Edge rushers are too good.
What the one that keeps coming back to me is there was a defensive holding or a pass interference on the Chiefs. I think it was down. McGuffey on Debo or something like that. And it's like when you're getting that stuff right, that's fine because that kind of stuff is a little bit more noticeable and a little bit. I think it affects the game a little bit more than a hold that lasts a second, 2 seconds.
I think we talked about Shanahan a little bit. I think he just gets too cute towards the end. Like, we dissected an entire play for about an hour. Like, the way the offensive line was. That was a whole discussion.
We're not going.
That's what I was going to use the whiteboard for.
But, it's like he got cute with the way the offensive line was being shifted. Now, I don't know if that's on him. I don't know if that's the offensive line coach being like, all right, I want this guy to pull.
Hold on. There's a 49er lineman who was calling out a teammate, and he did it when he was drunk last night.
Yeah, that dude's no longer going to be on the team.
He also he was bullying Jalen Carter for being in a car crash here in that game. So he could just be a certified bad dude. But
yeah, he's definitely a certified prick. But there was definitely times where it felt like he was getting too cute or not. What we saw from Brock Purdy this year was that he can use his legs a little bit. Why they didn't use more bootleg stuff near the end, I don't get. Or why you're just not keeping Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Again,
or using Ayuk.
Or using Ayuk, or Debo, or Kittle. Where the hell was Kittle?
Ghost.
Very much.
Bro thought he was cool when he was saying he was going to come back to this place.
Man, I felt so bad for him.
4 years ago and came back.
He came back and watched. He had a sideline pass to watch the Super Bowl.
It's crazy. A shame because I really like Kittle and I was really hoping he'd be able to get his ring, but yeah, I thought before we're going to end up talking about Purdy, so I'm going to start that conversation now. I thought overall he played fine. Yeah, did he miss passes? Yes.
I agree.
He missed passes. Patrick Mahomes missed passes, but yes, Brock Purdy did miss some passes. Overall, though, I mean, you look at the other quarterbacks that played against his Chiefs defense, Tua, Josh Allen, and the MVP Lamar Jackson. So Tua had a rating of 63.9, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, didn't even throw for 200 yards. Josh Allen didn't even throw for 200 yards. He had 1 touchdown and an 86.1 rating. This was in the playoffs. The MVP, Lamar, 272 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 4 times, had a rating of 75.5. Purdy, 255, a touchdown, was sacked, had a rating of 89.3. And when the Chiefs finally did take the lead in the game, he did manage to score. He had a touchdown drive and 2 field goal drives. So my big argument after this is I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I think he's probably top 15, and especially for him being in his second year, that's damn near impressive. I know I wish my young quarterback would have been top 15 after his second year. Dylan, I'm sure you wish your quarterback would have been top 15 his second year. That's a good spot to be if you are a second-year quarterback. The issue is if you're going to beat Patrick Mahomes, you have to be great. 2 quarterbacks have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. One is the greatest of all time, and the other is Joe Burrow. And I keep going back on this thought. I've been having it since yesterday. If I am a team in the NFC, I'm hoping I never have to face Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs because I'm looking at the current quarterbacks in the NFC today. And before Drew and Cam give me some stupid stuff about Dak or Kurt, I don't think there's a single quarterback in the NFC that is elite enough to beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, just the way that we've watched everything unfold. I think if an NFC team wants a chance to beat Patrick Mahomes, or to win a Super Bowl, I should say, they have to pray to God an AFC team takes care of them somewhere in the playoffs. And because I don't see Dak is a good quarterback, top 15, top 10, I don't care where you rank him. He's not top 5, top 3. And you have to be at top 5 minimum if you're going to beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts lost to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Commanders, Giants don't have quarterbacks. Seahawks don't really have a quarterback right now. 49ers, Purdy just lost. Rams with Stafford. He's a good quarterback. He's not beating Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He did beat Burrow, though. Cardinals, I don't trust Kyler. And who else am I missing up there?
Jordan Love.
I don't know. Jordan Love is one that I keep going back on. Like, maybe he can get to that point. I'm not ready to say he can be Patrick Mahomes yet. Oh,
let me jump in here for you.
Getting
Let me jump in for you. Here we go. So
All right.
so I got a couple things to say. First off, Brock Purdy played fine in this game. He did his job as the team's quarterback. However, like you mentioned, that is not good enough to win the biggest game of them all. It's not good enough. Was there pressure in his face on that last play? Yes. If Mahomes is on that last play, does he hit Juwan Jennings for the wide open touchdown? Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe he does. We'll never know because he wasn't in that situation. But and throughout the game, just little things here and there. He had some really nice touch passes over to the sideline, but that team was, and that's just how the 49ers are built. That's not Brock's fault, but the team was never in a position where Brock was taking them to the victory. I mean, he was guiding that team. He was managing the game as his job is. He just didn't get him over that hump, just like we were saying. I mean, but he did his job. Like, he played fine. The question is that going to be good enough in the future, like you said? And there was something on social media today. I was looking at the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Like 7 to 8 of them, arguably, and it's always debatable, are AFC quarterbacks. There is a big diversion of talent in the NFL right now at quarterback, and it's predominantly in the AFC. And this draft is setting up to where it's going to start to fix that. And the top 2, maybe we'll see what the Bears do, but the top 2 picks right now, who could be quarterbacks, would both go to NFC teams. You got the Bears and you got the Commanders right at the top, who could get Caleb Williams and Drake May. That's 2 very talented young quarterbacks that would get dropped into that NFC talent pool. They did have a chance last year, but they took Bryce Young instead of C.J. Stroud, and again, kind of widened that dispersion a little bit. What Bryce Young turns out to be, the book is obviously still open on him. He's got a long way to go, and that team's not in really good shape. But, just looking at the landscape of quarterback talent, it is predominantly on the AFC side. And I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right in that you're just hoping one of those other quarterbacks can take Mahomes down in a year like this year where they got him on the road, obviously he won both of his road games, but you got to hope that that team doesn't lose that home game for them next time.
I think that's the reason why the Bears have to draft Caleb Williams, because at this point, if you're an NFC team especially, or any team in the NFL, but an NFC team, you're looking to try getting a quarterback who can compete.
If
is
he's a
make
top
it to a
10
Super
talent
Bowl.
quarterback, you want him on your team, regardless of what you already have.
I think Caleb Williams is going to be a bust personally, but if you think Caleb Williams has that high ceiling and you think you can develop him correctly, you take him because he's a guy that with that ceiling could potentially be that elite top 5 to where if you're in a spot to make it to the Super Bowl, you feel like you have a chance if you have to go up against Patrick Mahomes because you have a guy like that. But
Drake
yeah,
May
the
is going
talent
to
pool in
be
the NFC.
Drake May is going to be nice on the Commanders. Just saying. Sorry, Drew.
I ain't worried about the Commanders.
Nobody is.
I also was thinking to myself that even though the Chiefs always win, I would not be scared to give it a try. They're not
What
exactly
does that
a
even
team.
mean?
They're not a team that strikes fear into their opponent, and they think there's no chance of winning. If
You'd
that
be
makes
willing to play them in a Super Bowl? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, if your team's good enough to get to the Super Bowl, you shouldn't be scared of anybody. I mean, you're gonna play a good team in the Super Bowl, no matter who it is, whether it's the Chiefs or the team that beats the Chiefs. Yeah, you'd always have either team that makes it to the Super Bowl has.
You have to have the confidence. If you don't have confidence going to a game, the other team already won.
I mean,
That's
the
the
49ers
same,
were
like-
favored in this game. The 49ers were favored by 2.
Yeah, we were talking about got to have a top 3 quarterback. Well, I guess all the other teams should just give up every year. We'll let them go at it.
Well,
If you're
that's
an
why you
NFC
play the game. That's why you play the game. But
Alrighty then.
you might want to get a good quarterback though if you do want to win that game.
Or you just pray to God that
you can give it a shot. You just might lose. That's all.
The last few quarterbacks that got a chance to win the game were a running back, Mr. Irrelevant, and a Playboy model. So maybe we'll get a worthy opponent in there one time.
That's the other thing too, is Brock Purdy will never be back in the Super Bowl, and to me that's a damn shame. Because if you look back, it is for me. If you look back, all the quarterbacks that have lost their first Super Bowl appearance don't make it back. So everybody that's
who hasn't lost a Super Bowl appearance yet?
A
the
lot
guy
of
that
people.
hasn't made it.
A lot of
Dak
people.
Prescott, baby.
Yeah, and like
So
20,
Eagles
25
already
other
knocked out.
quarterbacks.
They can't make it. 49ers, done. Lions, done because Jared Goff lost. So who does that leave?
Matthew
My
Stafford.
Cowboys, baby. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Matthew
Matthew
Stafford.
Stafford.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
Oh, that's going on TikTok.
Hey,
Funny.
We'll
this-
circle back to
this-
this.
the stats are lining up,
It's gonna be the Rams. The Rams are legit. Puka Nakua,
Rams.
my new dynasty wide receiver, is gonna take me to the promised land.
Rams.
The other thing I
I
did
got
want to
nothing
touch
wrong with
on.
the Rams. I like the Rams.
I like the Rams. I like what they have over there. The other thing I want to touch on was, we mentioned Kyle Shanahan already, but it was also, there was a lot of other self-inflicted wounds with the 49ers that cost this game. Opening drive, Christian McCaffrey fumbles the ball, and it looked like it was going to be a scoring drive.
Bro, that
Ray
ball
Ray-
was slick. That ball was slippery all game.
Ray McLeod muffs the punt, or not technically a muff, but does.
It hit that guy's
fumble.
heel. It hit
It
that
did.
guy's heel. It's not Ray
It was
Ray's
live.
fault.
It's not, but it's.
He also definitely
That's
could have
the guy-
picked it up.
That's also, he was the last guy that touched it. So before it went to the 49ers. There was a couple other things too, but there was just miscues. The defense just folded late against the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs. So yeah, as much as Patrick Mahomes does deserve credit for winning this game, and we'll give him credit forever, it was also a lot of just self-inflicted wounds for the 49ers.
Kind of the minute Mahomes ran for that first down and like lowered his shoulder, and then he got up and he was like staring at the sideline. He kind of felt like he was going to win, regardless of how it happened. He just went into like Mahomes mode. Like
It felt like he was going to win the whole time.
it did.
The moment that the score was not larger than 10, the difference was not larger than 10. That felt very easily a Mahomes game.
When
The
Jake Moody
49ers
missed,
had many chances and many opportunities to put the game away, and they failed to do so. Now, the 49ers weren't the only team who had some miscues. Obviously, a Pacheco fumble, a very bad Mahomes interception. I can't remember if there was any other turnovers, but it just keeps coming back to
there was a play where they had like second and inches and ended up actually going backwards for second and 12.
and that's part of the what makes it difficult, obviously, but what you have to do when you're going up against a Mahomes is when you get those opportunities to bury them and to put the game away, you cannot make a mistake. And for whatever reason, most teams and the Shanahan 49ers specifically just kept finding ways to make mistakes when they had the opportunity to put the game away.
Yeah.
And
so did the
Like I
Ravens,
said,
and so did the Bills this year.
while
unfortunately.
it was a close game, it always felt like the 49ers were going to get it done, or the Chiefs were going to get it done.
It felt
Even
to me,
when it went into overtime. First of all, I thought they should have tried one more shot to the end zone before they kicked the field goal to send it to overtime. But anyways, made it to overtime. Absolute blunder by the 49ers. Another Shanahan issue.
Yes, that's a
And
choke.
they're trying to talk circles. They're trying to talk their way out of it after the game. I've heard Shanahan say that they wanted the ball third. Hello? What are you talking about? You want
See,
the ball
that-
third?
that does somewhat make sense. If you think that both teams are going to score touchdowns, you want to be the team that has a chance in sudden death. But you also you should have taken defense with the hopes of stopping Mahomes.
Because you don't know if they go for it on that third down. It was third and inches on like their 18-yard line or whatever. Like, do they go for that if they had the ball first, or did they punt, thinking that their defense is going to come through? Then the 49ers
Cam, what do you
drive down
think
and
they
kick a
should have
field
done?
goal.
What was your thoughts on the overtime thing that the
I
Chiefs
think
did
you
to
go.
the
I
49ers?
think you run it on third down with McCaffrey and Kittle and Juszczyk and behind Trent Williams. And you put Debo on a crack. And you have McCaffrey on the goal line. You've been doing it all year. Why do you think he has most of his touchdowns? You take a chance with McCaffrey first, and then you go for the touchdown. You don't give Mahomes one drive to score a touchdown.
So do you think
it's
the 49ers should have kicked it or received it to start overtime?
received it?
Oh,
Hello?
Yeah,
Jeez.
score the touchdown.
Well, why?
yeah, but then the Chiefs get the ball anyway. So why not kick it?
You're not going to have a better game plan coming out than your first drive, I believe. I think
Yeah,
you go
but-
down and score.
But you would have that drive even if you got the ball second in overtime.
I see
That's
both
fine.
sides, but the circling that they're doing is very obvious, where you have players immediately after the game saying, "Oh, we didn't know the rules until they showed on the scoreboard."
Yeah, I mean they definitely
And
did
then
not
Kyle
know the
Shanahan-
rules. That's
No, and
straight
then
up,
Kyle
they did not.
Shanahan being like, "We wanted the ball third." No, that's backtracking. I
I don't know.
understand. I understand some of the logic behind wanting or kicking, receiving the ball first to start that overtime period, but it's the backtracking, it's the circling, and it's everybody not.
I don't know how
being in-
somebody doesn't know the rules on that team. How does somebody
Yeah.
not know the rules?
Yeah, like that. You're a professional athlete. Your only job is to know football. And if me, a boring bum who does not play football for a job,
We don't think
knows
you're
what the rule is, then someone on the team probably should have mentioned that going into the game. Obviously, overtime can be unlikely. But, going into the Super Bowl, kind of an important game to some people. Might want to cover that. That's just me, though.
I mean, there had to have been a meeting.
I do not believe we won it third. I think it's pretty bold to assume that the team that you're facing doesn't just go for two for the win.
That's what the Chiefs said that they were going to do.
Chiefs straight up said that's why having it second gives you all the advantage in the world, because you can go for two and end the game, and on your drive down there, that you have 4 downs every new set of downs. You have all 4 to get a first down, because obviously you're going to try to tie the game up. Whereas if you go first, if you're 4th and 4 from from just outside of field goal range, maybe you might punt the ball, and hope that your defense can get a stop. Whereas if you're 4th and 4 and you have to get a touchdown and the game's over, you're going for it every single time. And so essentially, just by going second, you give yourself an extra down. So it's so much more advantageous.
You gave Patrick Mahomes 4 extra plays. Let's say he gets four moving the chains, 4 extra plays to get down the field and score a touchdown in one drive. That is too many extra to try to win.
Yeah. To me, like I said, they can try to talk their way around it. That's a coaching mistake. I feel very strongly that if many coaches in the world had committed that blunder, they would be laughed at and they would be mocked and they would be called coaching malpractice.
If Mike McCarthy
I personally know how hard Stephen A. Smith would laugh if Mike McCarthy pulled some crap like that. Every single show would be laughing at Mike McCarthy. And so Shanahan, because he's cool and he's young and all this kind of stuff.
And he wears that flat brim cap.
Whoops, my bad. I didn't tell my players a new rule to the game. And at the end, the new overtime rule didn't actually matter anyways, because they didn't score a touchdown with their first possession. So, but it's something you kind of want to know when you're in the Super Bowl. But what do I know?
So I just watched Inside the NFL. They kind of had the mic up, and I was watching some of the reaction to the Drake Greenlaw Achilles injury, which I think also played a huge role in this game. The backup linebacker that came in for him, thing allowed he got cooked bad. But the Fred Warner, who was right next to him, he saw him go down, started screaming no. Kyle Shanahan, they got him saying, did Dre just get hurt running out on the field? George Kittle was like, are you serious? That's an Achilles. That was tough to watch. But him
you might need to
leaving,
you need to send that in chat.
When he left, you could kind of start seeing the Chiefs attacking the middle of the field a little bit more. And that was a huge momentum.
I mean, he was flying around the field before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He was going crazy.
Better linebackers.
But at the end of the day,
yeah,
at the end of the day, Chiefs are champions. 49ers, just another one on the list of teams that could not beat the Chiefs. Where will we be a year from now? Will either of these teams
another thing? Let me cut you off, because I just want to make sure that I get to say this. Make sure no one forgets. Cowboys have won a Super Bowl more recently than the 49ers. So go ahead and hang that participation trophy. Go ahead and hang that participation banner. At the end of the day, ringless since '94. So.
You've been waiting to say that one, haven't you?
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that everyone remembered.
Hey, shout out to the second ever Jet to win the Super Bowl, though, while playing for the Jets in the same season.
second ever Jet to score a touchdown.
Sorry,
in the Super Bowl.
score in the Super Bowl while playing for the Jets.
That-
in that
That
season.
hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a
Like, it
wild.
was McCole Hardman of all people.
That's a wild stat.
McCole Hardman, who doesn't do jack, he doesn't do anything the entire season for any team. Scores a game-winning touchdown, and he was the one that was up there with the magician. He was the
Yeah.
one that was answering
The magician knew
magician's
he would
question.
be in that game. The
He
magician
It's
knew
actually
McCole Hardman.
nuts. It's actually nuts if you think about it. No, what?
It's not fair. It's not fair. Do we have any other final thoughts? Do we want to do awards like Super Bowl awards?
Super Bowl
Grab-
MVP, Juwan
Not
Jennings.
named Patrick.
Even though he lost, he's the MVP.
Sauce Gardner
Also
said
Mahomes.
that McDuffie. Sauce Gardner said McDuffie should have been the
That's who I was going to
MVP.
say.
just clamping out. Cam, thoughts on?
I don't really know, to be honest.
It feels had the 49ers won, Juwan Jennings would have been the easy choice. I think.
Yeah, he was going nuts.
No
Him
one
and Chris
else really.
Conley. Chris Conley
no one
was
else-
going crazy.
No one else really separated themselves. It seemed like.
I mean,
Like those-
McCaffrey had a good game,
Yeah, McCaffrey wasn't bad
relatively.
in comparison to like most running backs. Yes, and relative to like him, it was just
He was-
another
I
day
mean,
at the office. Nothing really special.
yeah. His days at the office are pretty good usually. Though.
All right. Final thoughts.
Chiefs three-peating?
That's the
No,
last thing I
I
was
don't
about to
think
ask
so.
is
I
who
don't
is
think
the
they
Super
do.
Bowl favorite for next year?
I think.
Well, the actual favorite is the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean once again, like the Chiefs got so lucky to be here. In actuality, like we talked about this for weeks, the AFC is just so loaded right now. I mean, next year you're going to have the Chiefs, the Bills are going to be back, the Ravens are going to be back, Joe Burrow's going to be healthy, the Dolphins are going to win a bunch of games regardless of if they're good in the playoffs or not. In theory, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a healthy quarterback in the AFC. There's just too much talent. I don't think the Chiefs make it back to repeat. If they do, they're probably the favorites. They won't be on the line of the game, but I don't know. We'll just have to see who Peter Schrager picks before the season starts, and that'll be your Super Bowl champion. So,
Cam, who's your Super Bowl favorite for next year?
You don't want me to answer that.
all right.
Outside
It's
of the Vikings,
it's the
who's your
Packers.
Super Bowl
It's
favorite
the
for next
Packers.
year?
We know. It's the Packers.
So, I
Can you play
know.
Madden right now, dog?
I'm not playing Madden right now.
Dude, I
What are
hear
you
the
playing,
stakes.
dude? I hear them sticks.
I don't know who I pick as a Super Bowl favorite because I would really like to see Rodgers versus Kirk.
Well,
We'll see if we get that.
I would hate
Nope.
that. I'll be
I-
honest.
Why?
I wouldn't watch.
That would be beautiful deep balls
We had the
all game
conversation.
long.
Do you not want to see any of your teams win the Super Bowl?
Or begin the Super Bowl.
Especially if it was two of them. If there was two teams,
Like at the end of the day, one of you is going to get a Super Bowl win. That
and
would suck.
That's unbearable.
This was a
And
conversation. in the group
imagine
chat.
the loser of the game.
Oh my God! No, the winner
bragging
of the
rights that
the winner of the game would.
You guys would hate to see another Steelers Cowboys Super Bowl. Just think about that. Just think about what would happen.
Oh, we would not be able to record another podcast together ever again.
It would just be constant screaming and Queen.
More than it already is.
I am the champions playing 24/7. We are the champions, whatever that song's called. It would just be on blast.
I think it is just we are the champion.
Yeah, of the world.
I know that no quarterback has ever lost a Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl appearance, and made it back. But it is in NOLA, so my Super Bowl favors the Bengals for this year.
Hey, he's got the whiteboard.
I got the whiteboard. I got the
like
whiteboard
it.
like yesterday, so we got to bring it out.
One
One thing we're going to try incorporating. One thing we're going to try incorporating a little bit more into our episodes is using whiteboards. Because if you recall, last off season we were doing different games and stuff, so we'll try incorporating more of the whiteboard in season 2. as that has been our season 1 finale. What a great!
It was an
Actually,
honor.
I take that sack. I take that back. I was going to
You
say
do what
suck.
now?
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
we
that's
almost,
a clip.
we almost
Whoa.
had a flawless episode. Almost.
Damn. I take that back. The season kind of sucked. I don't know if you guys felt that way, but it definitely sucked for me.
No, I definitely
But
had
glad-
fun.
It was a sucky ending.
I don't know.
For
4
obvious
plays
reasons.
in, it was pretty terrible
Yeah,
for me.
okay.
Yeah.
For those of us that made it longer than 4 plays, I don't know that it was a terrible season.
It lasted 9 games, I believe.
Obviously,
It was a
we all
roller coaster.
experienced our downfall at some point.
It was a roller coaster.
But I'm gonna miss football a lot. Obviously,
Already got mock drafts
So-
being fired up.
yeah, dude, I'm itching. So
I'm already thinking about draft night. We're all going to be on that call again. We're just going to be excited about new pieces added. Like
We're
in my
gonna
head-
start it at the same
Dude.
time this time.
Yeah,
No, what we should do is one of us. I know we're talking about this while recording, but one of us, we all get on Riverside and somebody share their stream,
and we just watch together. That'd be
and
smart.
we all just watch it together.
That'd be smart. And then we can post it so
we
everyone
go.
can listen to the reactions.
There you go.
or hear me out. You go
That's actually
That's actually
yes, I
genius.
forgot about
Yes.
that.
because it's in
I-
Detroit.
I forgot
is
about
true.
that. Yeah. I might have
We
to
mu-
make the trip.
We might need a Party Chat Sports 3 out of 4 trip out there because one of us isn't in town. We're close enough to be able to.
No, I
Go.
will not be attending. But
We should.
you
The
know,
3 of us that are like in the area should definitely try making a trip up there.
And the only problem is night one's on a Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Well, we might have to make that happen.
Oh,
figure it out.
Anyways, I mean,
We got an
season
entire
one
off season to
in the
figure this
books.
out. We got an
Yeah.
entire
Yeah.
off season to figure this out. Stay tuned for season 2. Stay tuned for the other content, everything else that we got coming up at Party Chat Sports. Got another series of Adjustments Fortunes coming out later this week, probably Friday or Saturday. That's going to be out. So make sure you stay tuned. Everything that we do at Party Chat Sports, you can find on Twitter, X at Party Chat Sports. You can follow our YouTube, believe it or not, at Party Chat Sports, and our TikTok at Party Chat Sports. We've been putting out a lot of content lately, so make sure if you haven't seen any of our content across any platforms, you go like, subscribe, and check everything out. Looking forward to a great season 2 that will start here soon. Hope everyone did enjoy this last season. Thank you for joining us here at Party Chat Sports. It's been a fun ride for us. We hope to continue having a fun ride throughout this journey, essentially. So, again, thank you everybody for joining. But until next time, see you soon.
adios.
See you in season 2.